Hey everybody, Tom Paul here with QBrush.com, and in this chapter we're going to concept 3 busts. So we're going to start off by getting this default male figure from the lightbox. If you want to find the lightbox, just hit comma. It's the shortcut for it. And we're just going to slice him up and delete everything but the bust. And I'm just going to scale him up using the size, deformation, and then Dynamesh. We'll Dynamesh at a lower resolution, and then I'm going to make a duplicate of the original and hide it. Okay, so we're going to use a slice curve to separate the head here, and then we're going to curve the sides and use the snake hook to move it up. And I'm just using the snake hook brush just to move around the proportions and find a form that I like. And I'm just smoothing it out a bit. Now I've duplicated that piece out and I'm moving it around to try and get some interesting transition between two shapes. And I'm just overall trying to improve the silhouette here. It's worth noting that snake hook is probably my favorite move brush. I just really like the way that it works. Some people don't really like using it, but I would recommend it. Either that or just the standard move brush will do. So yeah, just have a play around with both of them and see how you go. So just use the clip curve there. Clip the front. So I've merged them together now and I'm just scaling them down and moving it using the transpose tool. And I've just auto grouped them again and split them up. So I've just clipped the bottom off and I'm just giving it a polish and re-dynameshing. And I'm going to enable symmetry using the X shortcut and start playing with the torso. And trying to get an interesting shape going on. So here I've just set up a custom view in the document palette just so that I can refer back to that 3/4 pose whenever I want to check it. And here I'm just using the clay build up to build up some, I want to say muscles, but mechs don't really have muscles. But yeah, some form around there. Here I'm using the damn standard brush to just kind of indicate where I would like some panels to be later on, possibly. And just trying to get some interesting shapes going. So here I'm going to give it a few subdivisions and then Dynamesh it. The reason I subdivided first was to smooth the mesh out. The shortcut for subdividing is Control D. And now I'm just going to Dynamesh at a high resolution and start clipping away and make some more refined choices with the form. So I'm still just using the clip curve and I'm going to try and move this out a bit with a snake hook and smooth it out on the sides, but it's not really working, so I'll just take it back. Remember, if you want to make a jagged angle with the clip curve, just double click Alt instead of clicking it once. So here I'm just giving a few subdivisions and polishing it using the polish deformation. Just going to Dynamesh at a higher resolution so that my clips are a lot cleaner. And I'm going to clip the top there. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to move this up a bit with the snake hook. Oh, if you want to invert the clip that you're making, hold in Alt as you release it and it will clip negatively, if that makes sense. So here I'm just using the select tool and I'm going to split the torso from the neck. And I'm just giving it a few subdivisions and then Dynameshing it. It's important not to spend too much time on each concept either. I think I only spent about 15 or 20 minutes on each one of these, max. Okay, so here I've closed holes, but it wasn't closed properly. So what I did is I selected the close function and I group looped it and then moved it in with the transpose tool, and now it's like super clean. I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna close the hole, select that, and then move it in. But I'm getting this like weird seam, so I just delete hidden Dynamesh, but it's still coming back. But I ended up deciding it doesn't really matter and just clipping it. So here I'm gonna clip the front and the sides and try and get an interesting shape going. Maybe separate the flowing forms with a more tessellated object and try and bring some interest. So I've merged those together and I'm just using the transpose tool to kind of move them around and see if I can get a more interesting approach to the shape. Then I'm just going to come in and move it with the snake hook. I recommend compressing your models like that when you can, and just seeing what you can change. Now I've got the spiral brush here, and I've lowered the Z intensity so that I can get this cool like curve effect at the back. Yeah. So now we're going to go on to the second concept, and starting the same, just going to Dynamesh and split the head off. And we're just going to mask this and kind of move the body in a bit, because the last one was kind of like a buff kind of mech dude, and I was just checking the silhouette there. I want this one to be not as brutish, maybe a bit more more like a scout or something. And I'm just drawing in the neck there, and I'm going to move the head out and stretch it down and Dynamesh and mirror and weld X because I forgot to enable symmetry. Then I'm going to clip that, start moving it around and see if I can get a cool shape. I didn't end up going with anything from this design because in the end I found it was a little bit too cliche, and I'd kind of seen the design a lot before and I was just replicating something I'd seen before. But it's really important to do different iterations and different versions of concepts, and to like not to find, well, you want to find your best idea, but you also want to get rid of all the bad ideas that you have. It saves you a lot of time, and you don't want to get down the production pipeline later on and be like, oh, I wish I could have incorporated that really cool idea, because you didn't spend the time trying to figure it out at the start. So yeah, it's really important to just get in there and do like have a bunch of different tries, do a bunch of different concepts at this level, because they're really loose, but a lot of the design language is there. Just so that you can, find something that's really awesome and get rid of all those bad ideas that you have, because everyone's guilty of it. Industry professionals always, like any other profession, have to warm up, and part of that warm up process is getting rid of stale ideas. And one of my mentors once told me as well, go forward with your best design, not your first design. So yeah, it's really important. So here I'm just marking out the paneling again with the damn standard. So I just merged them together and give it a few subdivisions to smooth it out, and now I'm going to split them up. I'm going to slice off the back and split hidden. I'm going to clip those there. And clip the top as well. And we'll take it back and re-dynamesh at a higher resolution and try and get something cleaner. That's looking a bit better. And this is one of those instances where the clip curve wasn't working, so I transitioned to the trim curve. And then we'll take it back to the clip curve and try and get an interesting flow at the back here. So we're just clipping away. I'm gonna dynamesh at a high res though, because it still wasn't clean enough. Thing with dynamesh is, you know, go as high as you have to, and if it's still not enough detail, increase the size of your object. But you don't have to go overboard with it. Just imagine you're projecting the resolution at a level you want it to be seen at. If the object isn't going to be like straight in your eyeball, then you don't have to have it, you know, ultra clean. It's just a concept. So just keep that in mind. It'll save you a lot of frustration. So I've merged all of those down, and I'm going to compress it again in Mirror World. And I've just duplicated it and mirrored it on the y-axis to see if I can merge these shapes together and come up with something a bit more interesting. Something I do a lot is combining shapes that I've made and editing one so that it looks a bit asymmetrical. I find a lot of really cool designs come out of this process actually, so give it a try. It's pretty good, eh? So I'm going to merge these together and compress it down again. Just using the Move Transpose tool. And I'm just getting in there with the snake hook and trying to get this cool arc feature going. Alright, so we're going to get on to the third one now. And we're going to split hidden. And we're going to delete that. I'm just going to get in this with the snake hook and try and flesh this bust out. I think this design was one of the more brutish ones that I came up with. I was just exploring a whole different bunch of body types, and these are just 3 concepts that I picked to show off because they're all pretty different. So here I'm just going to beef up the back and see if I can get a cool neck profile going. So I just clipped the side of the head, Mirror World, but it was on the wrong axis, so I disabled local symmetry and did it again, clip the front. So yeah, I'm just trying to get an interesting shape going, but take it back a few steps. Don't be afraid to take it back. Don't ever get attached to a design, because in a production environment it's going to be revised. I can't stress that enough. So many revisions. So save in iterations as well. Save in revisions, sorry, because you never know when an art director or someone is going to be like, hey, can we use that element from like 3 days ago? I hope you still have it. So yeah, it's also good to keep iterations at different stages to watch your own progress as well when you're learning it. It actually feels pretty good. So here I'm still trying to find an interesting combination of shapes that transition together well. I'm just going to compress it down and give it a few subdivisions and then smooth it out to try and get like a nicer transition in between them. And now I'm going to split them off. A quick tip as well when it comes to splitting is if you want to split all those components like I did it once, you can just go auto groups and it will assign a group to each object in the subtool, and then you can go group split and it will split each poly group into its own subtool. So that's how I did that really quickly. And group split is found under the split tab, which is in the subtool palette. So we're just going to move this out a bit more. At this stage, a lot of the shapes that I'm using are really kind of abstract, and I'm just trying to get like a cool transition in between them so that they sit well together. So I'm going to merge those together and start moving it around. Rotate it. Yeah, with the... I've just duplicated that and mirrored it on the y-axis. Just quickly, with the transpose move tool, if you want to move an object, use the middle circle, and if you want to warp it, use the top one. So here I thought this was kind of cool. It reminded me of like a rhino or something. Or maybe something from Evangelion. So I decided to keep it and warp it around that shape there. Here I'm just using the snake hook. I'll take it back a bit and split that subtool off. So I'm going to merge those together and get in there with the spiral tool at a really low intensity so that it doesn't affect the mesh too much, and try and get an interesting flow happening. And we'll compress it in a bit. And that's looking pretty cool. And yeah, that's the 3 concepts.